Hi all, this is Dr. Dave Maslach talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a 3, and in this particular video, I'm going to talk to you about where to actually put your citations in the body of your text. So I'm a professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and there's a lot of people talking about citations and referencing and stuff like that on the internet, but it turns out that a lot of this advice is either just really trite or just not very good. There's bare minimum with what their recommending is that you're citing other people's work and giving them reference for doing the things that they are doing, but that is really a bare minimum. And it really is not geared towards anybody that is doing any sort of academic writing. And that's what this is all about, right? Is trying to help out others that are interested in becoming better researchers, writers, and that kind of stuff. That's what my Monday Writes series is all about. So, again, why do you want to cite? So the key thing, and by the way, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks, and you should probably follow all the way through towards the end, because I think they get better as they go through. So why do you actually cite? You're just trying to, first of all, bare minimum, you're just trying to sort of say that this is somebody else's work and somebody else's idea. That's the bare minimum, right? It's the whole plagiarism thing, but that is really, really the bare minimum. That doesn't give you any sort of good insight. In fact, citations is the most important thing of any sort of academic writing or writing a research paper. It sends signals and information to the people that are reading it. And if there's people that are reading it as an academic writer, they are trying to interpret what you know and whether this is actually a legitimate paper, right? That's a really key thing. And what you're trying to do is sort of communicate to the other people, the reviewers and writers that are reading your material, is that you actually mastered the material and that this is something that is okay to read, right? Because we all can read stuff all over the place and most of it's just garbage, and you have to sort of figure out what's good and not so good, right? That's your whole job. So it turns out it's really quite difficult to do, and most people will get this wrong. And I am still struggling with this 10 years in, 15 years in at this moment. And I'm still struggling with it and trying to figure it out. And I'm getting better as I go, but there's still a lot to do along the way. And I'm still learning along the way. But here's some things that I learned that is really useful for you. So the first thing is with citations, you have to make sure that you are citing appropriately within the first paragraph of any sort of academic work or reference paper or anything like that, right? The key is to signal to other people that this is what the paper is about and it's based on these kind of literature that people have done before, other people that have done before. So why is this important? It's because it signals to the editor and to the other readers that this is how I should frame my study and how I should think about it. The other thing that you're going to get is the editor is going to often use the citations in the first couple of pages, particularly within the first paragraph, to actually pull that information and then find those people that wrote that stuff and send that article that you wrote to those particular people. That's a key thing, right? Because they're going to see those people that actually wrote the article are going to say, well, is this legitimate? Is this actually good research that actually should be published in any sort of way? That's a key thing to think about. And if you cite incorrectly, it's going to be sent to the wrong people, and then they're likely to not pay attention to what you're writing because it's outside of their particular area. And if you cite too sort of broadly in that circumstance, that's a higher chance of that actually happening. So it's an important thing to think about. The other thing that you should think about in the theory section, and I do this often, and it sort of is something that I find problematic and difficult to deal with, is that the citations in your theory section and the stuff that you write about theory should be about theory, right? Should be focused solely on theory. Anything that's related to empirics or anything that's related to sort of the setting or anything as sort of tangential, it's not going to make your paper make sense all that much more, right? So that's a key thing to think about is it going to make your paper and your theory make sense? And it should be really holding together in terms of the theory that you're building. In the empirical section, what you should be doing is actually citing empirical research. So empirical, I mean methods, right? So anything dealing with the settings and methods should be related a little bit to the empirical research and sort of concrete on the empirical research and in methods that you're using, but also citing the theory that have done this stuff before in your particular area, right? So that's an important thing, is looking for those theory papers that actually have done the same method and referencing those to as best as your ability, right? You also want to do so the third thing you should probably think about, or fourth thing you should probably think about, is in your discussions and contributions section, you should probably be thinking about how to cite a little bit more broadly than what you were citing previously. That's a key thing to think about, because you're trying to show that this paper, this research that you actually have created, actually has implications elsewhere, and other people should take this seriously. That's an important thing to think about. And the last thing, and I think this is the most important, that most people that are starting out in the whole research game, and I did the same thing, and I've seen this done repeatedly with a lot of people, is that people just cite too broadly altogether. And what you actually have to do is go through a couple of revisions and continuously refine as much as you possibly can and narrow down and focus as much as you possibly can until it becomes a really fine-tuned piece of paper. That's a really cool thing. So again, what I'm trying to do, and I apologize, my kiddos are in the background. So what I'm trying to do with this whole Monday Write series is try to provide as much helpful tips and stuff to anybody that is interested in writing nonfiction, academic work, becoming a researcher, and just sort of dealing with these particular issues that we all deal with. It's tough to do and it's really difficult to do, but I think a lot of this stuff is useful, and not a lot of people talk about citations in terms of its seriousness of how to interpret the work. It's usually interpreted in terms of it just should be done in terms of plagiarism, but that's actually not the real reason why you actually want to cite properly. What you want to do is cite sort of in a focused way, and do it sort of in a way that it makes sense, that other people can believe what you're saying and think that this is actually a legitimate piece of work. So that's it. That's all I'm going to talk about today. I got to go play with my kids. All right. Take care and have a good day. Bye.